everyone, and welcome to Everything Psychic with Gayle and Mary. I'm Mary Hawk.
Or were you going to be Gail Tracy Mole? That's funny. We're going to switch tonight. I am Gail Tracy Mole. I am also a ULC minister, and I run the East Texas Psychic Fair. So there we go.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome. For those of you who saw our promos about tea leaf reading, Jules was not able to join us, but we will be rescheduling with her. So stay tuned. We will be bringing you a show on tea leaf reading in the very near future.
I know I was really looking forward to because that's not something I do, nor have I ever had it done. So I was excited about the tea leaves. So we're going to get back to it.
We are. Good evening, Anissa, Mary Me. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
So, Gail is going to talk about runes tonight.
Yes. Yes, because witches, if there's not plan A doesn't happen, we go to plan B.
Plan C.
Yes. I think even ENF, but before we get started, I do want to wish Jules safety and energy and healing to whatever her emergency was.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Renee. Good to see you again.
So, have any of you ever been curious about runes? I wonder. I
I have.
think
I
that,
had a very accurate rune reading done years ago.
well, runes are sort of a different animal. There's a lot of different ways to read runes, and people believe different things about runes, and they're a really personal thing. I do actually read runes for other people, though. Surprise, surprise. So,
And the only reason I'm chuckling is if you haven't witnessed two heathens who've had a few belts of meads disagree on how to read runes, you
oh,
haven't lived.
no, no. And also they laugh a lot of times because runes are actually the basis of our alphabet and written language. Um, and people get things inscribed on them all the time, and sometimes they're not what they think they have inscribed on them. Mhm.
Yes, I've heard stories about people getting, for instance, tattoos done in Asian languages and finding out
It's not
that
that. There's people who do that with runes as well. They think it's one thing, but what they actually put on them is another. So unless you really know what you're doing with runes, and I personally, if somebody is going to tattoo something magical on me like that, I really want them to be a magical person. I don't
I
know.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually do know people who do magical tattoos. Now, then you would have to travel to see them, but honestly, that's worth it. If you feel strongly enough about it to tattoo it, then you ought to feel pretty damn strongly about who you have put it on you. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
Mm. Yes, we just say bless you. So,
Goddess bless you.
Goddess bless you. Um, So the room set that I started out with is the one by Ralph H. Bloom. Okay. And he has three books. I could not find just the regular book of runes. It's normally a gray book, it's similar to these. He then went on and wrote Healing with the Runes, Let me get that out real fast. Which he was going through a 12-step phase whenever he did this. I guess he's a recovering alcoholic. I do not like this book as well as I do the original book. He also wrote Relationship Runes with Ralph Bloom and Bronwyn Jones, who was his partner. Once again, I personally don't like either one of these books, as well as the original book of runes that he wrote. Um, but that is not to say that they are not for you, depending on what you are going through. So they're really good resources. The first book is a lot more metaphysical, and there is a lot of people who do not like the Bloom books. Okay. Because if they're traditional Viking room people, as Mary will attest, no, it's not the tradition, and that's not good. Yeah, yeah, they will do that. And so um I do know the Viking names as well whenever I think about it really hard. Gotta think about it. Um, but I basically learned how to read with the Bloom runes, and they have been an extremely useful tool for me. They have been. So, having said that, would you like to do a little bit of a rune reading,
I
Mary?
would love a room reading.
Okay. What is your situation? Just give me a direction, something that you want to know a little bit about.
Ah, let's see. Where will I be with this new position at work in 6 months?
Hmm. Insight into the new position at work for the next 6 months. That's actually a really good. Okay, so, hmm. I think that you're really going to be wondering why in the hell did I do this? you know, um, the way I drew that out of there, um, I think that you're really going to be second guessing why did I do this and
Hmm.
considering saying, yeah, but that's where you start out. And if you think about it, 6 months from now, I know the field that you work in, we won't blab about that on here, but um, that is not a pleasant time of year. Okay. So, since
That's why I'm asking. That'll be where the rubber hits the road in my new position.
yes, since I know this, you're thinking, what in the hell? So let's see what action will you take at that time. But having said that, even though you're really just saying wanting to say to hell with it, you are very good at playing defense and just plugging away and doing the things that you know you need to do. Okay. All that CYA stuff, you have it, you know. And so it's definitely about knowing that your paperwork is done, your forms have been met, you did your things. Now, whether they did their things, okay.
And in terms of what my new position is, that is making so much sense.
Yes, yeah. And so once it is all said and done, and you get to your outcome in 6 months, um, the ground is going to be very ripe for you to say, "Oh, I want to go on and do this," or there's going to be opportunities that come from you sucking it up and getting through it. But I might not talk to Mary much in December. She may be busy. And Mary
Believe
and
me, there
I,
have been many days in Decembers and Novembers where I've contemplated the fact that I like living in a house and driving a car.
I was about to say, whenever I pulled this one, which I should have showed you the runes because I'm talking about runes. The
Yeah,
first
show them.
rune, this is, the greater than or less than sign. But how I drew it out was the less than sign. So, in other
Sally,
words,
thanks for joining us. Sorry to
yes,
interrupt.
no. So that means if it had been the other way around, it would have been an opening and it would have been good. But Mary's like, nope, I want to close this door. I am so sick of this shit. And then this rune,
It's lightning.
well, lightning, and it's not so well. I forgot the Norse name for it, but it's about defending yourself. Okay. And I know you, part of how you defend yourself is words. It's your paperwork, it's your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can see
We're
her.
talking about runes tonight, Shelley.
Yes, hello. Hmm. And then your outcome, this is fertility, but fertility can speak to many different things. And since we were talking about a career related question, I would say that it is the opening for new opportunities. So maybe because you sucked it up and did this, and
Mm-hmm.
now you see the holes in it, maybe with the company, you may go ahead and maybe you rewrite the policy for the next year as to how training should be done instead of trying to fit into their system. And you've already
We're
been thinking,
doing runes, Shelley. RUNES.
yes. And runes, here, let
Can
me
you
show
just
you.
show us some more runes, maybe, so
Yes,
people can see
runes,
what we're
the
talking
Norse and Viking runes. And okay, now runes, this particular set is made out of clay. Uh, it's hard to get them on my camera correctly. Here's some. I have seen runes made out of bone, out of wood, out of stone. I've also seen them made out of plastic. I've seen them made out of resin. I do have a resin set that I like. Um, oh, they're asking how many I work with. My original set that I worked with, Bloom Runes, had 25, but most Viking runes have 20. And there are different types of sets that work with even less. I mean, there's the younger and the elder Futhark, which is about the Norse and Viking runes. And I by no means claim to be an expert on those. Okay. I don't. I learned how to read with the Bloom book that used the 25. But he added one, and that really ticked a lot of people off. They didn't like it whenever Bloom did that. That's one of the things that those two drunk Norse heathen guys will get in a fight about. So, does anybody want rune readings? You can message, and these need to be specific questions related to yourself. Okay. In other words, the question is just as important as the answer with runes. So the question,
So, like, I specifically asked where I would be with my new position at work in 6 months.
yes, and that was an I question, and it was a question about a situation. So I did them much in the same way you do a 3 card spread in tarot, you know, present action outcome.
Now,
Or,
Alice Moon has a question for you about the runes you're using.
okay, what did she say?
Have you added your own personal runes or symbols to your sets?
I haven't to the runes. However, I have a friend that we have talked about coming on here, Jean McNeese, if you're out there. um, and
Love to have you.
he does lithomancy. And in lithomancy, you can combine runes, if you so choose, with different objects that mean things to you. And I have been experimenting with a lithomancy set. Yes. I haven't actually started using them, but I definitely am in the process of trying to learn a bit about that. So yes, I
Okay.
do
And
believe in
Shelley wants to know, can you give a psychic reading with runes?
that. Okay, I think that a psychic uses many different tools and mediums. And sometimes I give a readings, I don't necessarily have a tool. I just know things about people. But yes, I do think that because I have that gift, it helps with the runes. But everybody should be able to use a set of runes. You're contacting your own sense of knowing. And yes, I can give a reading with runes. But as I was saying, the way I was taught to do it, they're I messages. I can't tell you whether your boyfriend loves you or not because you're asking about your boyfriend. Okay. I can tell you if you ask, am I in a good relationship or can I have advice on my relationship? That is a good question. Okay.
Hi, Amy from Boston. Glad you joined us. So, if somebody's got a question for Gayle they would like for her to read from her runes, please go ahead and post it. Just
Absolutely. And if
remember,
you have
it's
questions about runes, and please let me know. Okay. Uh,
we don't have
Allison,
anything new.
if I answered your question for you, or if I need to bring more clarity to that. And
So while we're waiting on that, how did you get started with runes?
that's a story.
I knew it
Yes.
would be.
Yeah. Mm. So I had finally given up. We had went to the last church we were going to go to. I didn't know what we were going to do, but I wasn't going to go to a church no more.
We
And
have a question.
what?
Amy is asking, is my son around me?
Mm. Well, I can tell you yes to that even before I draw a rune, but let's see what it has to say. He gives you signs and signals. This is the rune for signs and signals. Or, well, yes, it is. It's also the rune for possessions. Is it the rune for? No. Uh, some of his, okay, it is more of a psychic thing than it is a rune thing. Um, he gives you signs and signals, and there's things that were his favorite things that you can use to know that he is around. And hopefully that made sense.
Okay. Shelley is asking, will I meet a good man to date? I am single and I am in no hurry.
Mm. You're at a standstill right now. You're not moving forward. You're not moving backward. You're just sort of there and sitting and waiting. And you can't meet anybody while you're just hanging out. If you're sitting on the sofa, yeah, unless it's the mailman that knocks on the door, I mean, so some advice for that. you're going to have to disrupt your routine if you want to meet somebody. Because I drew the room for disruption. Oh, Amy says thank you. You're so welcome, Amy.
And Dove Spook wants to know, is staying still or going away better right now? Would that be two drawings, do you think? Or
let's see. Okay. You're staying still because the opportunity hasn't opened yet that you need. You need to be still to wait on the opportunity. And this is gateway, but it was reversed the way I drew it out. Which certain runes, it depends on how you draw them out. Some are unknowable because there's no reverse to it, but others there are. So this is, since it was reversed, I'm going to say that you stay still because the correct opportunity hasn't opened yet.
okay.
Ah,
And Renee Amy says thank you. And
do I dare ask about my love life?
let's see, before that, Renee says, do I have my grandfather as my main spirit guide?
Well, let's see what they have to say.
You're welcome, Shelley.
The gateway is open once again. You saw me. I shook them up. I drew gateway out. Um, you have many spirit guides. And yes, he is among them. Now then, is he the main one? Maybe right now you're feeling him more strongly, but they sort of take turns for you. And don't forget about your grandmas or the women in your life. I think you're just feeling the male energy right now, but there's a lot of wisdom in all of your ancestors and in all of your guides. And you are open to them, so that's good. Okay.
Okay, we've got a perfect things from Doe Spook. And Amy says, do I dare ask about my love life?
Oh, everybody asks about their love life. So let's.
Okay, my power is flickering and I am facilitating this. So if we suddenly go away, it means my power went out. It
That's it.
doesn't mean we're mad at you. So,
Hmm. So, Amy, on your love life, I got Berkana. You see, I did pull out one of the Norse names, and it is about growth. So, right now, you are either in a relationship that you're growing into with another person, or you're growing on a personal level so that you can get to the relationship. But growth is the stage you're in at the moment.
all right.
Uh-huh.
And it's getting worse here.
Oh, so if Mary goes bye-bye, it's just that's what was meant for tonight. And maybe we would have been in the middle of a tea leaf reading, and that wouldn't have been good. So
And this is true.
at least these are more short and direct, and everybody can get their message. But until we get another question, I was telling Mary how I started to read runes. Um, so there was a lady, like I said, that I met as I first started to practice. And as you know, oh, thank you, Amy. And whenever we first start to practice, we meet some sort of unsavory characters. She was one of my unsavory characters that started out being very nice and turned into, yeah, she's one of them people that I never want to see again. But um, one of the gifts she gave me is she knew how to read runes, and she gifted me my first set of runes. And this book, I've still got it around here somewhere. It's the old gray book and it has tape on it and the gold is worn off the front of it and all of this stuff. And she let me borrow her runes. And I gave them back to her and the book looked shinier and it looked better. And she's like, "What did you do to these? They look different." But my energy had transformed the way it looked.
Wow.
And yes, and runes have been a thing for me ever since. I personally think every preteen should be given a set of runes and a journal and taught how to reason through how they feel about something.
Hmm. Got
I
a 14th birthday coming up for the grandkid.
I will explain to you what you do with that, or maybe I can write a little card that you can give with them. But
Okay.
basically, and I like this set to start with. Now, a lot of people don't, but it was at that time for me,
Hey,
you know,
Mary.
transitioning from Christianity. And so it wasn't as scary to me as, say, witches' runes would have been, because it was very philosophical, a little bit metaphysical. So they were a good transition point for me into the craft. And they taught me, like I said, how to reason how I feel about different things. And that's something we're not taught in North America.
Mm-hmm.
We're encouraged not to feel our feelings,
This is true.
very much so. Very much so.
Now, I've got a question for you, Gail, and I'll preface this by saying I am a total Tolkien nerd. I've worn out 3 sets of the books before they ever made a movie. So, are the runes Tolkien used similar to your runes?
Let's see. Yes. And there's flow. I do not know if Tolkien studied runes or the Viking symbiology.
He was a professor of the Anglo-Saxon language. Surely he did.
I would think, and there are some people that will look and say that this looks like Elvish, and we tend to think that Tolkien's world was all imaginary. I personally think he channeled.
I agree.
I really think that the man was a channel, and he was just writing what his DNA remembered.
Hmm.
Archaeology has been proving that a lot of that is true. They found hobbits. They found an island where hobbits live, little bitty stature people, you know.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of evidence that there was a lot of different types of, um,
Humanoids.
yeah, humanoids. That's a good word. Neanderthal,
Different
Homo
races of
sapien,
humans.
and they were
The
divided.
first time I read as an adult, when I really read a description of a Neanderthal, what ran through my head is this sounds like your standard description of a troll or an ogre.
Yeah, or mhm. And if you think about in Ireland, they talk about the little people and the fairies
Hmm.
and the fae. But if you look at those descriptions and what we now call aliens, it's very similar, very similar. So, yes, I agree that there is flow from what the runes are to what Tolkien did. I very much agree with you on that.
Hi, Jennifer.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. We are talking about runes, if you have not heard. And another piece of advice, I have started to tell you guys what different runes are made out of. Like I said, there's the clay, there's wood, there's stone. Um, I've seen them made out of several different materials. A lot of people want to make their own runes. They do want to put blood in them. And before people out there get all upset about blood magic, you're using your blood to connect yourself to your runes. Okay.
I will tell you right now, anything I've ever sewn, including a full set of ritual robes, has my blood in
Normally it asks it as a
it.
sacrifice. It does. It does. But this is deliberate placing in bones. Bones are used for runes a lot of times. I have had antler runes made. Um, there is also plastic runes out there. Please, 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 people. Runes need to be a natural substance. Do not use runes that are not a natural substance. In fact, I don't know about Mary, but anything that is not a natural substance, you should not be using in the craft. And storage containers. In only mild cases do I use plastic bags. Okay. It's much better to put it in glass. It's still a natural substance. So remember that with runes. Please, please don't use plastic runes. And I much prefer the clay runes. I still to this day prefer the clay ones. I have several sets of the stone ones, but they're not uniform enough for me. If you look at these and the way they're made, they are uniform. They're all the same thickness. They're all the same range.
Mhm.
Um, because whenever I'm drawing them for myself, I might be tempted to cheat. Oh, that's that one. It feels different. I want it to
Right.
be that one. My subconscious mind would do that. And I use these for myself. So for me, I need knots the ways to cheats.
And I can understand that. And now we're going to pause for a second, and I'm going to talk for a minute about the Parliament of World's Religions that is convening in Chicago this August from the 14th through the 18th. The excuse me. The theme this year is confronting authoritarianism. We are looking at a defending freedom and human rights, and Pagan World TV is going to be there covering it. We have press passes, so we will be there from the floor of the McCormick Center covering it. So I do invite everyone to tune in on Pagan World TV, and I'm going to change the caption at the bottom. Here we go. On August 19th, we are going to have the symposium and concert to the gods. Byron Ballard is going to be our headliner. If you don't know Byron, she is a wonderful witch. In fact, she's Asheville, North Carolina's village witch. She is a priestess, a teacher. I go hear Byron every chance I get. She's published several wonderful books. She will be at the Parliament the entire week, and she will be giving us her thoughts. We'll have some other speakers, and we will also have a concert to follow, and tickets are just $10. This will be online only. So please follow this link, CarelianPublishing.com, Concert to the Gods ticket, $10. We'll be sending the link out to the broadcast in August. And please consider supporting us while we get to the Parliament of World's Religions and then bring you this special broadcast afterwards.
Yay.
Yay!
Cool.
So
People, as Mary reads these things and talks about the Parliament of World Religions, it's really important right now to show up and be there.
it
Whatever
is.
whatever is going on in your own community, show up and be there.
It is very important. And I'll share last weekend, I'm one of the coordinators for Nashville Pagan Pride Day, and we had an entry in the Nashville Pride Day parade. My co coordinator and her husband have a Ford Lightning truck. So we had an eco friendly vehicle that we decked out with all the rainbows we could find, and people were drumming and marching and chanting with us. And we had a great time passing out rainbow pentacle stickers.
Oh, I love it.
And one of the most thrilling things was seeing a young woman out in the crowd who read it, the sign on the truck that said Nashville Pagan Pride Day supports Nashville Pride, and yells, "Dude,
Oh, wow. Isn't it cool?
it is." So, yes, be there, show up, claim your seat at the table.
Yeah, I mean, the world cannot change if you don't show up.
The world cannot change if you don't show up.
And, you know, you don't have to agree with everything everybody says, but being able to show up and be kind and nice and polite, you bridge the gap between you and the other person so you can have a conversation.
You can have a conversation, and people who are willing to show up and do interfaith work are already making the first step.
They absolutely are. And
They say, I'm here, this is what I believe. Now, what do you believe?
absolutely. And do you agree with me, Mary, that the LGBTQ community and the pagan community at this present moment in time are sort of in alignment? We're not exactly the same, but we travel a
We
similar path.
travel. Since I've come to paganism, I have known so many LGBTQ people who came to paganism because they could not find a spiritual home anywhere else.
Hmm.
Now,
Absolutely.
that is changing, and it's a good thing it is changing. More and more traditional faiths are becoming open
Hmm.
to
The,
LGBTQ people, but at the same time, it's also true that we embrace them first.
it is, and it's so here, Texas is very Bible Belt. Yes.
Those Tennessee.
Yeah, very, very much so. Still, although there is more and more pagans showing up, and there's more and more pride days, and there's more and more people standing up and saying, "Hey, we don't care what you are. We just want to be treated equally and nicely."
Mm-hmm.
So, many of the events here, there is this crossover between LGBTQ and pagans. And I had a booth at the Pagan Pride Parade here in Tyler, Texas. Um, and so I had met somebody from the Transgender Equality Network. It's called Tenant. And Eric, the ambassador, if you're out there, Eric, hi. So we had invited him to be part of East Texas Psychic Fair, which is my business, easttexaspsychicfair.com. I will plug that. Um, so I had sent him a message, as we're getting ready, and we do door prizes and drawings, and that for every dollar that's donated to them that day, they can have an extra ticket in the drawing. And he said, I met him the other day to pass off some flyers, and he said, "Oh my God, I have played that message for so many people." And I'm like, "Why?" And he said, "You were just so nice." And I played it back, and it's just a very normal message. But he said, "People don't treat me like that. They're not just nice."
That's heartbreaking.
It is. It really
That's
is.
absolutely heartbreaking.
And it happens. But I told him, even though I am not LGBTQ, which I know he was wondering. I mean, I go around with purple hair and peacock dresses. But
Hmm.
um, I told him that we're actually a lot alike because here, many people will be happier with their child being gay than they would have them be pagan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said,
Hmm.
we're both other people. We're just other in different ways.
This
So,
is true.
yeah. So it's important to show up and be part of your community, whatever that is, and just step out. Lean into the fear about it and just take that step. I Mary and I both openly live as pagan. And I know a
Yes,
lot of you don't do that, and I do not judge if you can't, but really think about it.
I don't judge if you can't. And for many years, I stayed in the broom closet. But when I chose to become co coordinator of Nashville Pagan Pride Day, I had to be publicly pagan.
Mhm. So, I mean, I do actually wear my pentagram,
I
and I just
wear mine.
yeah, and you would be surprised. Most people really don't say anything. Now, I don't have to work with them. I don't have to work in the public, and Mary works from home.
Well, I was wearing it going into the office, although I will say this, my husband and I both work for large multinational corporations that have strong non-discriminatory policies.
Well, and the place where we hold our event in Tyler is owned by corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference. If they were not corporate owned, I guarantee you I wouldn't have my venue.
And that's a real possibility, but
It is. So
I
it's
think it
really
is important to be as public as you are comfortable being.
mhm. And support the people who are public. If
Yeah.
somebody has a shop in your neighborhood or in your town, or they're doing an event, and this drives me crazy. People say that they want things and then they don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
People went to a lot of time and trouble and effort to give you the opportunity to show up.
Yes. Support your local pagan events. Support your local
Mhm.
pagan, occult, mystical type stores.
Absolutely. And the people who are practitioners and to do things. I mean, look for the people in your area because I guarantee you they're there. Because paganism is growing in this country. It
Yes, paganism is the fastest growing religion in this country.
it is. So
We look, we've got a TV station.
I never thought I would live to see Pagan World TV. And whenever I first heard that they were putting this together, I mean, I was messaging and like, yes, please, I want to be part of this. Um,
Yes, I get a message from someone I didn't know out of the blue. I have a TV show. I want to be on your station.
yes. Now I've got to record new ones. I've been trying people, but they are coming. They are coming. Um, there's been a lot of flux right now.
There are a lot of things in flux right now. This is true.
I mean, I pay attention to the things like the shamanic resonance. The heartbeat of our planet changed on the 17th
Hmm.
of this month.
You were telling me. And
Yeah,
yes, I've known a lot of people who had a lot of things in flux the first 6 months of this year.
a lot of people getting divorced. There's a lot of things going on out there. And you guys may not think that this is about everything psychic, but it is because
Well,
we both
there
lived.
are psychic tides. And even when you say a lot of people getting divorced, you want to say that's heartbreaking, but maybe it's not.
The way I understand it right now from all of the things that I've seen about the shamanic residents and the planetary alignments and just all of those things, it's what the metaphysical people call ascension. The planet, revelations for Christians, whatever you want to call it. We just call it, oh, this is how we're finally changing. But there is basically two versions of the earth alongside each other, which if you read all of the things about time and space, there's many different levels of existence. But right now, we're and so there's some people that are vibrating up and there's some people that are vibrating down.
And hi, Jenny. Thank you for sharing. Saturn went retrograde on the 17th.
How did I not know that? I should have known, but that shamanic resonance kicked in on the 17th, I believe. And it has been a freaky ride. I am telling you. But with with that happening, the way I understand it right now, we're releasing karmic debt. Karma no longer plays a part in that 40, 50, 60 reality that we're moving to. With the idea of karma is not so much. So we're having to release all of our karmic debt now. So if you're purging,
You're
that's why.
perfect.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Everything is connected. You are so right, Jenny.
Everything is connected and we're all connected, but we don't realize it until something happens that brings that person onto your radar, and then you really
Hmm.
connect. And I don't know about you, Mary, but new people are coming into my life and the connection is like it's there, it's like very strong. And there's also other people that are sort of like, not so much no more.
Right.
How about you had some of that in your life here recently?
I have.
Mhm. I've had a lot of it. People are very connected. We're much more connected than we're taught to believe in our modern society.
We are. And remember, we are meant to be connected. We
We,
are meant to live in community.
I have noticed a neat thing about our community here because East Texas Psychic Fair is developing into a community. The same way that there were there with Nashville Pagan Pride Day, you're all a community that work together every year to do that. Your
Right.
your Corellian tradition, and locally, that's your community. So every
Hmm.
we're developing our communities, but the vast majority of people I have met recently, all the witchy people, they're moving together with their family. It's becoming more and more generational.
But we're meant to live that way.
We
The
are.
idea of the nuclear family is only about 100 years old, if that much.
It is an experiment that is not going well because we have old people in all these facilities and are mentally disabled or in other facilities. and our young people can't afford housing, and it's all because we're trying to do this separate instead of as a community.
Right.
Yeah. And I am telling you, I can walk into some of the new people I have been meeting, and their house, their living situation, the way they're addressing their family situations are all very similar to what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just moved. Mary is moving.
I am moving.
Yeah. There's a lot of people moving right now.
Yes, a lot of moving.
Yeah. Shifting into where we need to be.
Yes.
Yes. I
So,
hope that people are still with us out there.
yeah, we've still got some people engaged with us. So, we are coming up on the top of the hour. Does anybody else have a question they'd like for Gayle to pull runes for?
Yeah. And I
Remember, it needs to
want to,
be a focused question about you
yes.
for a rune reading.
Yes. And I am happy to work with people who are trying to through situations. I actually do life coaching. Uh, you've got all my Facebook pages up here, so there are ways to contact me. Please message me, any of those. It's what I do.
Yes, it's what she does.
Is it- yeah, what? eh, Okay, so many words. It's what we both do. You
It
don't
is.
do this just for the fun of it, people. You don't know how many nights I've run in here at the last minute for Mary and stuff to get on, or how she's like, ah, she does a lot, you guys, because she actually is the president.
I am
Oh,
president of Pagan World TV. So, yes, running the station and getting programming and getting sponsors. Hey, if you have a service you want to advertise on Pagan World, hit me up.
yes. So
Doesn't even have to be pagan. I'd love to have ads from pagan plumbers, pagan mechanics.
yes, yes. Are people that offer online services. I mean,
Yeah, are you a pagan accountant?
hmm
Hey,
who
Heather,
I would like
thanks for
to find?
joining us.
I will put the energy out here for this. I want to find a pagan lawyer.
Pagan lawyer would be good.
I would love
Uh,
to find a pagan lawyer and somebody that maybe wanted to start a legal aid service for pagans. I think we need that.
a legal aid service for pagans would be good.
I have often thought that would be an amazing nonprofit to start.
Addressing pagan and elder care.
Yes. I had a friend, we were talking about that the other day, pagans that have to go to nursing homes and they're fine until all these people figure out that they're not Christian. And then they're just so
And I
ostracized.
don't know, I suspect it. You have a similar situation. A lot of the nursing homes in this area have some sort of Christian background.
They do. And a lot of the nonprofits here have a Christian background. So that was the reason I was so excited about Tennant coming to the East Texas Psychic Fair because we've tried to get other nonprofits to come and they hear Psychic Fair and they're like,
I'm really excited that this year at Pagan Pride Day, we have got, oh my goodness, this is what I get for talking off the top of my head. It is the Nashville, Davidson County, I'm not remembering the name, the Family Services. Anyway, they handle domestic abuse.
"Mm,
And they have an informational booth at Pagan Pride Day this year. Just
ah,
just to put out their resources. If you have a situation, this is who you can call.
You
This
see,
is the support we can give you if you need to leave.
hmm I know how much of a victory that was for Mary. That
That
was
that was huge, and it came out of a situation where an ex of someone involved with Pagan Pride Day showed up and made threats and threw a punch, and police were called, and this individual was referred to this service and then says, could we get them out? Can we give them a booth? And they're coming. And that is huge.
that is huge. Like I said, we've tried to get nonprofits to participate and just haven't done well. And so what Bethany, who is my daughter, by the way, and who I could not do psychic fair without, very instrumental. Uh, we had finally started taking donations for different things like the food bank and, different various things. And we just show up and we give it to them from the East Texas Psychic Fair. And they just look at us and are very like, wow.
Now, I
Because,
will say this, Middle Tennessee Second Harvest Food Bank loves us because we usually show up with several $100s in cash and several £100 of food the Monday after Pagan Pride Day.
yeah. And it's one of those things that this is what we mean about showing up. Because in the past, these have been things that Christians, their claim to fame was, we do all of these services for the public. So the fact of pagans showing up and showing that they support their communities too is a very big deal.
It is. So, yeah, if you're planning an event, contact your local food bank. Say, hey, can we take up money? Can we put out a donation box? I mean, Second
Would you
Harvest
like
has
to
their
have
name on boxes. We just go pick them up on Friday and take them back on Monday,
hmm
full
Would
and overflowing.
yes. Would you like to have a booth at our event? Ask
Mhm.
them. Even if you think they may say no, go ahead and ask them. They could say yes. They
Now,
could.
I will say this. Uh, I have heard of Pagan Pride Days in other areas collecting food and food banks saying, no, we won't take your pagan food. But
Wow.
I
We have
have,
we have not
because that
had
is
this
on
happen.
the list of things given to Pagan Pride Day organizers is check with your intended recipient because we're supposed to hold some sort of a food drive. Make sure they'll take your food.
Wow.
I know. I mean, hungry people are hungry people.
And you're going to turn around away food.
Yeah,
That
I'm pretty
that is hard.
sure that is harsh. Hungry people are hungry people. If somebody's having a hard time feeding their kids, they just want something to feed their kids.
Yeah, yeah. But they would rather make a bad guy than they had to have the help. And that's just
Mhm.
so sad. So sad.
That is. But yes, if you're running a local event, see if you can support a food
Mhm.
drive or a no kill pet shelter.
Yeah, I mean, take up dog foods, cash donations. They always need that. Always.
Yes. Or just ask people to bring things they've got they don't use anymore.
Yes, and there is we had found a foster care service that was open to pagan LGBTQ people, and they're shutting down. So we never did get them to come.
Oh
The
no.
adoption agencies, they're all Christian based
Yeah.
here. And my daughter adopted, but it was a family adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And she won't go to one of these places because she's not going to be that person that fakes what she believes.
I couldn't fake what I believed.
No, no.
I couldn't. Well, we are coming up on the top of the hour. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us.
I
And
hope
we are going to be back in July on the 14th and what did we say? The 14th and the 28th.
yay. And hopefully
So
we'll have tea leaf and lithomancy and all of those things.
you have some more fun stuff planned for you. So blessed be everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Blessed be.